Hey y'all, this is Tamika, the face behind Heyyy HR. One thing that can really confuse you is this term competency. Now you don't see it as often with HRCI, but you see it all the time with SHRM. And it can be very, very confusing because you're wondering, is this something I should know specifically for the exam? See, it's a collective of things that you should know for the exam. So if you're a little confused on what is a competency, then definitely keep watching. So if you just Google the definition of a competency, it's super duper easy. So the definition of a competency is simply the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. That's it. And now you're really, really confused because you're like, well, what is SHRM trying to tell me about a competency? So let's talk about SHRM's definition of a competency and how they fit it into what they call their competency model. So SHRM's definition of a competency is that it refers to a cluster of knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics known as KSAOs needed for effective job performance. I hope that that's simple. I feel like it is. So you guys know me, I'm going to go through and just break this down a bit for you. The SHRM competency model was designed for all HR professionals as a complete resource throughout your entire career. It can be technical or behavioral. Specific behaviors define the proficiency at each stage of an HR professional's career. Everything that you're going to learn about a competency isn't one thing, it's a collective list of things that make you able to successfully do your job. So don't get so focused on specifically what a competency is. Focus on what it covers. And so the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that SHRM has 6 different competencies. And those competencies for now, because I'm going to tell y'all why I say for now, give me just a second, is interpersonal, business, leadership, people, workplace, and organization. They all work together with one another and they include like sub-competencies. So they're definitely sub-competencies that really work with these 6 different competencies to really make you a great professional in HR. So when you're learning a competency, don't think you're learning one thing. You're learning a whole framework of things. It helps you just literally operate and be the best HR professional that you can be. So when you learn a competency, you've learned a whole bunch of knowledge. You have not learned like one thing, I have it checked off. You've learned a cluster of different things. So I'm gonna just break this down a bit for you, right? If we learn the competency leadership, it's gonna break into like ethical practice. It's gonna break into business. It's gonna break into interpersonal relationships, because being ethical and doing an ethical practice and just following great ethics, having good integrity, having good intentions, all makes you build good ethics. Now, are you only going to use these ethics just on one thing? Somebody come in your office, they got a question, you're investigating it, so that's the only time I'm going to use ethics? No, I'm also going to use ethics when I'm thinking through if someone should be promoted. I'm also going to use ethics when I'm thinking about how a job description should be created. I'm also going to use ethics when I'm thinking about how to recruit the best talent. So when I'm using ethics on just recruiting alone, I'm not saying, you know what, Keisha really needs somebody in here to help her, and she's my girl, we go out to lunch, and so I'm gonna go hard and I'm gonna find her a candidate, I'm gonna find her the best candidate, and then here goes Darlene. Darlene has the same issues. You don't go out to lunch with Darlene. You don't have chats with Darlene. Darlene ain't necessarily your girl. You'd work with her, but you really don't deal with her, right? You are intended and expected under good ethics and good integrity to give Keisha and Darlene the same level of energy to get them to that success. I've always heard a thing like integrity is what you do inside a room with people and the same thing that you're doing outside. It's what you're going to do behind somebody's back. You're always going to push for good. So that's an ethics example, right? That's a recruiting example, right? So you see how we've built on that? That's also a strategy mechanism, because even with strategy, instead of you just thinking, okay, I'm gonna get her some applications and give it to her, you're thinking, where can I find the best talent? Where can I get these people in really, really fast? Where can I go through the interview process? Or how can I go through the interview process really, really fast? And so that's helping you think more on a strategic level. And that's really what a competency is that you learn the basic knowledge of something, you go ahead and add on those subcomponents of it, and you put it into practice. So are you only putting it in practice just when you take the exam? No, you're going to put it into practice as you're working throughout your job, throughout your entire career. You're always going to think with the best ethics. So, okay, let's go and use something else. We already kind of use a people example, what have you. So now let's talk about the business part or the business competency, right? So when we think about business, if we just learn business, then we might be learning like the framework of a business, how a HR department fits into that framework, how does this business make money, things like that, right? But now we want to learn a full full competency. So if we're learning the full competency of business, then we're also going to think about our people and our personal relationships. We're also going to think about finance area of things. We're also going to think about all the things that can go into making this business run smooth. Obviously, we're going to think about it from an HR professional aspect. So if we're thinking about it from an HR professional's aspect and we're thinking about business, when we decide to launch something, right? So let's say our employees are really disgruntled. They really don't like working here. They're not putting in the best performance. We're not getting the revenue we used to get, all because we changed CEOs and they don't like the new CEO, and the CEO reorganized the whole org chart, and now all these people are reporting to new people and they want to report to their old boss, right? So the CEO or the company has made these decisions to make business go well. So how does HR fit into that? HR is going to decide, I'm going to work on employee engagement. I'm going to do some pulse surveys. I'm going to get some focus groups to figure out what their problem is, what makes them not excited to come to work, to really get engagement or really get people to fill out the survey or really get people to volunteer for these focus groups. What I'm probably going to do is give away some prizes. So I may give someone some extra time off. I may give someone for leave early on Friday. I may give someone a dress down all week. I may give someone a gift card to go to dinner. I might give them $50 extra on their paycheck. There's tons of things we can do, right? So I'm going to do these things as a gift to entice them to say, I'm going to be a part of this focus group and I'm definitely going to fill out your survey. We're doing this because we're trying to support the business. The business is failing because employees aren't happy. So we're working on employee engagement. So now when we've already done this employee engagement, as we're thinking through these prizes, we want to think about what the company can afford. Because guess what? We're already doing this because the company isn't bringing in the revenue it used to. It's not really being as lucrative as it could be. Productivity is slack. Quality is lackluster. Things just aren't going well. So now I'm going to get these employees really excited to do the survey. I'm going to get that information back and I'm going to see where are the big areas that employees aren't liking. What is it that really frustrates them? Is it the workplace itself? So now we bring in the workplace competency, right? Are they upset because the AC keeps going out, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, the password keeps getting changed, that they always have to dress up every day? Like, what is it that's making them upset? So, okay, now I'm going to use this and I'm going to make some changes to make them more happy. Now I've already got the focus group. I already got the survey out. I already got the results from that survey. And now I can say, okay, these are the things I'm going to work on to make my employees happier. Okay, now that they're happy, you might notice that, revenue increased just a little bit, but it hasn't got back to where it was last year at this time. So because we're not meeting on a year-to-date aspect, then maybe I want to start saying, what I'm going to do is do some investigations. Maybe I want to get a few employees that I'm really comfortable with or that talks to me on a regular basis to figure out what the day-to-day is like for them. You know what? Now what I want to do is maybe I want to do an employee recognition day and I want to do a cookout, where they can have free ice cream and we're going to, all the leaders are going to go ahead and make them lunch. We're going to grill it out. We're going to have games and prizes so that they can feel appreciated. We're going to sit down at the end of this employee engagement day or even at the beginning, and we're going to tell them how much we appreciate their work, how much we know they work hard. We're going to pull some people out as examples. We're going to acknowledge some folks because now they feel like, oh, they really do care. They're not just making us some free food. They're not just giving us some nice ice cream. Oh, they got music here. And maybe we have a DJ that we know can fit the demographics of our employees. So maybe I'm not going to put on all hip hop because I know I have some folks that like country. I have some folks that like jazz. I'm going to change the music up a little bit so everybody feels really, really comfortable, really feels engaged. So now not only have I fixed these errors that they've had, but I've shown them that I care, showed them that I like them, showed them that I want to really work with them, that I appreciate their work. So now that I've done these things, most times, let's be clear, these things alone do not fix your employee engagement when it's been suffering. So there are some other things you should be doing, but I want to make this video short, and so I'm going to run through this really quick to give you guys just the idea of a competency and how it works. So the competency example was business, right? So now I've noticed from doing these things that now our revenue is back to where it was last year. We're trending in even better and things are going really, really well. Guess what? You've completed an entire competency, a whole framework of work based on just business. Now you added in workplace, you added in interpersonal, you added in employee engagement, you added in surveys, you added in data, you added in metrics. You've added in all these different things to make sure you have a successful result. And you're working on this just for the business case. But you HR, so you're supposed to work with the employees. That's your part of the business. You're not out here trying to figure out how we're going to get out of the red. That's for finance. You're not trying to figure out how we're fixing these regulatory concerns because guess guess what? That's quality. You're not trying to figure out how we meet in this deadline even quicker and even faster, because that's operations. You're focused on the people. You're focused on engagement. You're focused on retention. You're focused on less attrition because you're HR. So that's the way you fit into the business. That's your competency. That's your business competency, or an example of your business competency. Luckily, with SHRM's material and HRCI's material, it teaches you so much information that it expects that you've learned all of this information to how to put it together. So that makes the framework. Because now I'm not just learning how to recite definitions or what this means or what that is or how I use this. You're learning how I can use it to reach goals. How can I learn it to address the issues that we have? So it's a little bit different when you're learning a competency and definitely learning the framework with it and how to work with it. Now you can absolutely see how this is helping me every day in my work, because I'm not going to do this one time. I'm not going to do this with one company. I'm not going to do this in one instance. You're going to have ebb and flows with your company on a regular basis. And so this is something you use throughout your entire career. So the biggest thing I do, or another thing that I do want you guys to know, is that SHRM has previously, because they've called it several things throughout the year. They've called it the competency model. They still fall into the competency model, but now they come up with these quick little terms because they want you to feel like you can easily remember what it is that they want you to remember. For a few years before, they call it the SHRM BOCK. Now they're calling it the SHRM BASK. Don't get confused with those things. Those things are literally just your competencies, the framework that makes it, and how you're going to work in that. BOCK and BASK are literally the same things. If you're a little bit confused about it, then I did a blog completely on BOCK and BASK, and it tells you all about the differences between the two, the similarities between the two, SHRM's motivation for creating it and changing it up. And I don't want you for a second to get confused on that, because you're going to hear competency when you hear them talk about BASK, because BASK is their new thing now. In 2023 notes that I've created that's available for you, then guess what? That's what you're going to hear. And I say available for you, but this video goes out the day before they're available, so they're available tomorrow. If you want a discount on those notes, then definitely join my email list. You get a 30% off discount on the day that they launch. They launch on Wednesday, May 24th. Quick little plug for myself. To let you know, when you get to this, you don't want to get overwhelmed. That's exactly what it is. BASK is only referring to the competencies that makes up SHRM's knowledge framework that you're going to use throughout your entire career. I think I cleared that up a bit, didn't I? Because this stuff comes natural to me, and I want to make sure I'm getting it for the folks who are starting their career or just started their career and trying to like really get into it. And so do me a favor and leave a comment and let me know.
Tamika, I get it. I understand.
Like, just tell me, because I only gave you guys 2 examples, and they aren't, in my opinion, collective examples. But I just wanted to give you examples because I feel like when I just shoot out the same information that you've already seen, then you're like,
Tamika, I still haven't learned anything.
So if I apply it to what you're doing every day, it should help a little bit. In my description box, I have links that goes to the current SHRM BASK model. So you can definitely take a look at that to see the full overview of what it is. So I hope that this really helps you out. If you're getting ready for the exam, I have a free checklist, so you don't have to buy the notes. You're like,
Tamika, I think I'm going to take the exam. I'm not sure when I'm going to take the exam.
But it doesn't make sense for me to buy it now because I might not take my exam until next year. Will your notes be outdated next year?
Listen, all you got to do is get the free checklist. The free checklist is a comprehensive checklist that goes over several different resources you can use at any time you decide to take the exam. I don't want you to rely on just my information. This checklist includes other resources that you can use to help you get this knowledge, ace this test, get this money, get this new position, feel confident in your career, be able to talk about your career with confidence, and move forward. For those of you who are new, I really hope that this was helpful. And I hope that it was so helpful that you decide to subscribe, because I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. I promise you I have an entire HR certification playlist that goes over so many different things. So in that playlist, I not only tell you about, I believe that I tell you about BOCK and BASK, but if I don't, I darn sure tell you about the differences between HRCI and SHRM. I tell you about the difference between the CP exam versus the PHR. I tell you the difference about SCP versus SPHR. I tell you about when I passed my exam. I tell you how to study for the exam. I tell you how to get your exam paid for so that you're not paying for it yourself. I tell you not only that, but I also tell you how to get recertified. All of that is in the HR certification playlist. I've just created videos after videos over a period of time, and I'm pretty sure it can help you in your journey. For those of you who are returning, I thank you so much for returning. I appreciate you every single time you leave a purple heart, you hit the like button, you leave me a comment. I appreciate it every single time. So many of you have been sharing with me how you tell others about my channel. You share the link. Like, listen, I don't know how much I can tell you that I appreciate it. But I tell you one thing, I cannot wait to see you all on the next video.